No, don't knock the camera over, please. Go on. Well, a very good morning from Phuket, and I'm just getting ready to take Nat to work. But the first job of the day is to take Shadow a walk. So we're just going to walk up to where we normally take her. Now we've got our own home and she's got a garden that she can go out there and do her business. She never does. Well, we've not long arrived down here at the business. Nat's been lucky enough to have a customer straight away, so that's great. I'm going to be going down to Rawai, providing the weather holds, because the weather the last couple of days hasn't been great, to be honest. We've been having quite a bit of rain in the last 48 hours. Yesterday, our day off, the perfect day for me to go out and do some filming, which I wanted to do. It was raining in the morning. It didn't stop until late afternoon. The reason why I've picked Rawai as the second video in the series that I'm currently doing regarding the situation here in Phuket, across the whole of the island, I'm going to be looking at different areas. There's a very good reason, as I say, why I've picked Rawai, and that is because Rawai is one of the few places that hasn't been affected as much as some of the the better known tourist areas such as Kata, Karon, Patong, Kamala, etc, etc. I'm not going to say it's not been affected, because it has, but it's definitely not been affected as much. So I want to give you a comparison so you can see the true position here on the island of Phuket. Obviously some places are more affected than others. So we're going to take a look at Rawai as the second video, so it'll give you something as a benchmark to work to. Phuket town is another area I want to cover later in the series. Again, Phuket town is an area that's not been affected as much because, well, I'll talk about the reasons in the actual video as I'm doing it. But for now, I will catch you when I arrive in Rawai. So I've just arrived down into what I would call the main part of Rawai, and we're right by the side of the beach, the seafront area. Pier behind me, so Rawai does have a pier. It doesn't have a promenade, unlike Panwa, but we are going to start off with a stroll down the beachfront because we've got a lovely beach here, and there's also a lot of shops and restaurants situated along the road that runs parallel with the beach. So we're going to start off with that. The time is about 11:30 in the morning. Didn't want to come down too early because I want to give a true picture of what the situation is like here. And of course, at the moment, businesses are not opening up at 7 o'clock in the morning. They're just simply not, because there isn't the number of people. As I mentioned, Rawai hasn't suffered quite as badly as some of the other areas on the island, and I believe that is because there is a slightly larger expat community in this area, and also there's more locals in this area. And of course, in the main tourist areas, a lot of the locals there, because of the rents are so high in areas such as Patong, Kata and Karon, they've gone home. Because there's no tourists, they've simply gone home. So there's no people there. So not only have you got no tourists, you've got no locals in that area, or only a very small amount. And the same with expats, small amount, because it's a more expensive area to live. Obviously, if you're coming out to Phuket to live, you then start to look away from the tourist areas, because whilst those areas are great for when you're on holiday, they're not so practical if you're living out here. But again, that's a different topic for a different video. So let's now have a look at what's around us. So as I mentioned, we're right by the seafront. The beach isn't its strongest feature. However, I will say it is nice enough. Rawai's always got long-tail boats that you can see in the distance there, because it's a fishing community and it's a great place to come if you're into seafood. Nat loves the seafood. I'm not so particular on it. I do eat a small amount, but I'm not so crazy on seafood. But Nat absolutely loves it. It's her favourite. So we often come down to this area because they've got some really nice seafood restaurants. As you can see here, some tables, chairs, and the restaurants are situated right opposite, and they bring the food over and you can sit virtually on the beach really eating your food, and it's just a great place to come evening time, just before the sun sets, have a meal, watch the sunset across the sky. Beautiful. But we'll talk about that as we move down. So I'm towards the top end of the beach road. I guess it depends on which way you're coming. I'm coming from Shillong, so I've come in that way. But if you're coming from Nea Harm, that would be the opposite direction. Lots of tables here in front of me. these restaurants, this particular one isn't open. That may be because maybe they've got no customers, or maybe it's just too early. A lot of them don't open till late in the afternoon. Seafood restaurant across there, 7-Eleven. The 7-Eleven, is it open? Let's go and have a look. Actually, it's closed. I will, unfortunately, have to put my mask on at some stage. I've got to keep it quite close because at the moment in Phuket, they are enforcing the rules as regards wearing face masks, and they are checking, and there's police checks around the area. There's one in Nai Harm, and they're checking and making sure that people are wearing the masks. The mask thing, it has been enforced all the time, but of course, as the situation's improved, less and less people have been wearing the mask, but now they're starting to tighten up again on that. But I've got to keep my eye on who's around me. When I'm in an area where there's no people, then I should be okay. But I've got to be mindful of any people that are around me and put my mask on, because I could get into trouble and I don't want to land myself with a fine. That's the last thing I want. So just bear that in mind. If the soundtrack gets a little bit muffled in places, it's because I've had to put my mask back on. So across the road there, we have the Viking. So they are currently open, and then there's a sandwich place, burgers, ribs, coffee shop type thing. I'm not quite sure what it is because I do a mixture of everything. Flipside, that's open, and the restaurant, a Thai restaurant next door to them, that is also open. So already straight away we've got some open restaurants, places where you can go and dine. As I mentioned on the Panwa, we still have an alcohol ban in restaurants, so restaurants cannot sell any alcoholic beverages. Obviously these restrictions may be eased as we go forward and get closer to July, and they have some restrictions on hours that they can stay open till as well. So we've got another, well, it's listed as a bar, but I'm guessing they must sell food as well. It does look open because there's two people in there. Whether it is actually open and they're serving customers, I don't know, but if they are, they need to be serving food. And then we've got a restaurant next door to that. It isn't open, but it is still there. Now I should make it clear, because I probably didn't make it clear enough on the Panwa video, massage shops are also not allowed to open. So this shop is obviously still there, still trading. There's people inside. Hopefully these restrictions are going to be removed. Then we've got some more restaurants. These are closed. And then we've got a few bars which are obviously going to be closed. They're still there. The units are not empty, as you can see. And that's the big thing here that you're going to notice. There's a lot less empty premises compared to Panwa, which obviously you've seen if you've seen that video. More restaurants. These are the ones that cater for the seafood in particular. These are the ones that Nat likes to come and visit. She has her own particular favourite. Weather here is mixed. We are getting some really nice weather, but we're also having a few days where it's raining and overcast, a bit like today. It started quite overcast, and then the sun's trying to get out now, so hopefully it's going to brighten up as we go through the day. Fingers crossed it won't rain. I think that's a bar in front of me. That will obviously be closed because of the restrictions. We've got two, looks like a restaurant, and then the Moonlight Bar. That, again, because of the restrictions, will be closed, and then a shop next door. But already you can see that there are far more businesses here that are still here than compared to Panwa. There was a lot less activity in Panwa. You can even see the road has a lot of cars along it. There's traffic along it. There's definitely more life here than there is in other areas of the island, as you will see as we go through the series. I'm trying to do a straightforward and honest coverage of the island currently. Hopefully things will improve over the next sort of 12 months. I really do hope that's the case, but as it stands at the moment, it's not great on the island. I'll be honest with you, it's not fantastic because we don't have any international tourism of any amount. Yes, international tourists can come to Phuket. There's a lot of hoops that they need to jump through to be able to come, and it's putting a lot of people off, and I totally understand that. And on top of that, you've got all the quarantine period. It really is difficult now to go on holiday. It's more stressful than it is relaxing, and I totally understand that. But hopefully over the next 6 to 12 months we're going to see an easing of those restrictions, and tourism is going to start to come back slowly, because quite simply domestic tourism is not enough for Phuket. There's not enough domestic tourists. I know this for a fact, regardless of what the media might be saying and other things. we have a lot of customers within our business that are business owners, and a lot of those businesses happen to be hotels, and they're saying that they can't survive with the current amount of people that are coming to Phuket, mainly domestic tourism. It's just not enough. There's too much here. This island's too big to rely solely on domestic travel. So we need international tourists to come back. But the problem that we're going to have is because there's been no international tourism and a lot of businesses haven't been able to make any money for the last 18 months, or very little money. A lot of businesses have finished, they've closed up, they've finished trading, and that doesn't leave a great deal for the tourists to come back for. Of course, we still have the beaches, and the beaches have actually improved. That's one of the few things. As I've mentioned before, we've seen improvements on the beaches. The ecosystem of the island has got a lot better, and that's because we haven't had the number of tourists. But on the opposite side, businesses have declined because they're not making enough money. So we have to look at what's available now on the island for the people that are thinking about coming to Phuket over the next 12 months. And you really need to start and think about where you're going to stay on the island, because a lot of people are thinking, oh, we'll go to Patong, we'll go to Karon, we'll go to Kata. And yes, these are lovely areas under normal circumstances. However, they're going to look very different when you arrive back here now. And that is because a lot of the businesses simply aren't there, or they're closed, or lots of changes have taken place. Not all negative, but most of them are. So this is where I'm coming in and sort of covering these areas, so we can sort of give you a heads up, know what to expect. Think about where you're going to be staying on the island if you're coming over for a holiday, because there's going to be nothing worse than staying in an area where you have nothing open around you, because obviously you want to relax. You may want to go out for a nice meal, a drink, you're going to want to visit some sites. You're going to have to really think about this now and plan your holiday out accordingly, because if you stay in the wrong area, you could be left with very little choices on restaurants. You could be having to hire vehicles to get to other parts of the island so that you can go out for a nice meal and have a drink, etc. Just over there, that's the first unit I've seen for rent along here. I know there are a few units for rent. I'm guessing that used to be a Chinese restaurant from the writing above the doorway. And then we've got a few, I'm not quite sure what businesses they are. I think that's a property business. I'm not sure whether it's still trading. And then we have a sushi place. I'm not sure whether that's still open. And then we have the massage. I know the massage place is still here. Again, as I've mentioned, they're not able to open. So the business that's now in front of us, I'm guessing that was Mun Thai, or something to do with the Mun Thai, because of the name. But you can see that has got a for rent sign in the window, so maybe they've gone. We have a family mart that's open, another massage shop to the side of it, and then we have the beach area, which, as I mentioned, is not one of the most outstanding features of this area, but it is quite nice to come and have a walk along. We bring Shadow down here quite often. She loves it along the beach, of course, and this is not too far from where we live now, so it's convenient for us. But of course, if you're coming and thinking of staying in this area because there's more life and activity and things going on, you're not too far away from really nice beaches. Now, I have covered the beaches that are near to Rawai before, such as Naham, Yanui Beach, Hossain Beach, and the list goes on. So you've got plenty of choice when it comes to beaches. So really, beaches aren't an issue unless, of course, you're not hiring a vehicle and you don't want to be using taxis. As more and more tourism comes back, hopefully, to Thailand, we'll see more and more normality in the areas that used to have lots of shops, restaurants, etc. We'll see those coming back. But I think to start with, it's going to be very slow and very quiet, and people are going to be disappointed if they stay in the wrong area, simply because there's not going to be a lot for them to do other than sit on the beach or sit in your hotel. So that's something to bear in mind. If you're booking a hotel, make sure you book a hotel with plenty of on-site facilities. Make sure they're open as well. A very good friend of mine, Pete, who you've probably seen on previous videos when I used to ride around on my motorbike, he lives out in Patong, and I stay in contact with him, and I'm always asking him, you know, when I speak to him, what the position is like over Patong. And the last time I spoke to him was about 3 days ago, and he said it's just virtually like a ghost town. And he said he's struggling to find places to buy a cup of coffee. That's how bad it is. So you've got to bear this in mind. You know, a lot of people are saying, oh, I can't wait to get back to Patong. Well, that's great, but don't expect the Patong that you remember to be the Patong that's now. And of course, when we do the Patong video, you will see it for yourself. But this is why I'm saying now maybe is a good idea if you're planning on visiting Thailand, especially in the next 6 months, or even as far as 12 months. Think carefully about where you're going to be staying, because what areas were once the places to stay may no longer be the places to stay. And you've got to think of what is important to you on holiday. What are you looking for? You know, are you after a lot of restaurants? Are you after a lot of things to do? Because if that's the case, then the main tourist areas may not be able to cater for you as well as they used to, because there's not a lot there that's open at the moment. Are they going to reopen? I don't know. I really can't answer that question until we start to see. I mean, look at the weather today. It's beautiful now. It's gone really nice. Until we start to see some real numbers of tourism or tourists coming back, I don't think they are. I don't know whether the businesses are going to want to take the risk, because there's going to be a lot of businesses that have folded that need to restart again, so they've got to find the money for stock, and they're going to be taking a big gamble on 1 or 2 tourists, because if it's a restaurant, then you've got obviously stock that you need, and that stock is perishable, and if they don't sell it, what do? Not everything can be frozen and kept. They're going to end up having to throw it away. They're losing money that way, and that's why we've seen a lot of businesses disappear, because there isn't enough people here at the moment to be able to sustain those businesses, and they're finding it very difficult to operate with the overheads. And don't forget, on top of that, there isn't that many people on the island, so these businesses have got to find staff as well. So we're going to see a lot of differences in the next 12 months to 2 years ago, where people were coming before the current world situation and remember how Phuket was, and then obviously they're going to start to come back hopefully over the next sort of 12 months and see how Phuket is. So you're going to have to expect that difference, I think. But already I can see a lot more people about here than what we saw in Panwa. I think I saw about 2 or 3 people in all the time I was filming. It really was quiet there. Now, I know people may say, well, Panwa's not normally a busy area. No, I agree, it's not one of the busiest areas on the island, but it is normally busier than what we saw the other day. In areas such as Kata and Karon, as you will see when I do the video there, those are well-known areas, but they're not busy at all. You're going to see a big difference there in those areas, because they used to be very, very busy, and now, well, you'll see yourself when I come to do the video. But as I say, I want to cover as much of the island as I can. I don't exactly know all the areas that I'll be covering. There are a few people asking me to cover certain areas, and I will do my best to try and cover those areas, but I'm sure you'll agree already. You can see there are more businesses open here. There's the Amazon Cafe over there, or Cafe Amazon as they call it over here. That's open. I also noticed another cafe down here, the Wee Cafe, I think it's called. They were open yesterday. There's a 7-Eleven that's open down here because I went in there for a bottle of water. So a lot more facilities. If you come in and staying in this area, you're going to have more choice. For definite, you're going to have more choice. In Panwa, very little choice. Okay, I may have to put my mask on in this area because I can see quite a lot of motorbikes around here. So there are a lot of people mulling about. And I do want to be mindful of the fact that I should be wearing my mask. There's some more units, or a unit for rent, but definitely not the amount that we saw, the same as in Panwa. There's 1 or 2 but not the numbers that we saw before. So that's a good sign for this area. A very strong fishing community here, so that has helped. So we're just coming down to the Wee Calf. Yes, I was right, that's what it's called, the Wee Calf. That is open. They do have two branches. There's one in Shillong, I suppose you would call it, on the main road going towards Central, Phuket Central, and then we have this branch here that's been open 12 months, 18 months, something like that. I think it opened around the time we started having the situation in the world. We have another restaurant over there. I believe that was open yesterday, because me and Nat came to have a look around later in the evening after the rain had stopped, but it was a little bit late to do the filming, so I didn't film anything. But I believe that one was open. Coconuts next door is open as far as I'm aware. The Coconuts restaurant, that's still here. And then we have a few more businesses that run down here and then go up the hill. There's quite a few bars up there as well. But the bars, as I've said, some of them are still there, but they will be closed. So, Wee Calf, customers in there, nice to see. And then we're at the end really. Now, Rawai is quite a large district, and it is quite spread out, so it can be a little bit deceiving. I call this the main area of Rawai. But it is spread out, as I've said. It's quite a large district, and it spreads for quite a way. Now, some people call areas of Rawai, Nay Harm borders Rawai. Personally, I think Nay Harm is a sub-district of Rawai, because there's parts of Nay Harm, people say are Nay Harm, that are actually under the district of Rawai. So it's hard to film the whole area of Rawai. This is just the main area, but as you can see, in the main area, a lot more life. Ribs and fries and a drink for $3.95. That's Coconuts. Steakhouse, Costa Grill. Okay, I've just popped my mask on, so apologies if the audio starts to become a little bit more muffled. So really these here, these are for rent, or that one is behind me there as we've just passed. This was a massage shop. I'm guessing that's gone now because there's nothing inside. Don't see a for rent sign on it, but there's definitely no business in there. And then next door to that there's an empty unit as well. That used to be a resort. Oh, okay. According to the sign anyway, it's still there. That used to be a resort. Okay, well I don't know whether the resort is for rent or whether it's just this unit, but there's nothing there now. But definitely not as bad a picture as what we saw in Panwa. Oh, you can see the police are riding around now with the cameras on the top, and that's why I'm glad I've just put my mask on, because of course if you don't abide by the regulations, then you're going to have a problem with the officers. So they're probably filming me as I'm filming them. I don't have any issues, so I've got my mask on. So we are seeing a presence. Oh, they're actually immigration. They're giving out free masks. There, you can see. The lady has got a mask on, but I don't know whether she hadn't got a mask on when they first approached. Not quite sure. It's quite difficult to try and do the videos with a mask on and talk and get the audio nice and clear, because it comes out a little bit muffled. But unfortunately at the moment they have really tightened up on the restrictions as regarding wearing face masks, and people should be wearing face masks, even though there's two people behind me that are not wearing face masks. Just as I'm walking back down this road, I've just noticed this little place here. It looks quite nice. I don't know whether it's new, I've not noticed it before. It's actually called the Food Lab. It looks quite a nice little place. I noticed as I was walking down the beach, people sitting in there having some food. Nice to see. I've got all day breakfast, pancakes, pizzas, steaks, fresh breads. Okay, that's cool. Now this is one place that I wanted to mention. This is a new place that's opened up, a cannabis cafe and restaurant. I'm sure that is going to be very popular with people now that Thailand has relaxed its cannabis laws, and there's a lot of places now opening up that feature the cannabis. Swaddy Cap. So we'll have to come and try that when I'm with Nat, because I don't know how potent it is, of course, but I can see they've got one or two customers already, so I'm going to have a nose in there with Nat when next time I'm down this area. Okay, I can see a place called Tom's Restaurant and Steakhouse. They are clearly open. They have customers inside. And then next door, the Little Home, ice cream and coffee and bakery. They are also open. So we're just coming up to the Sunshine Bar. That's still here. I'm sure there's going to be quite a few people glad that that's still here. Now this is a well-known ladyboy bar here in Rawai. So if that's your thing, then the bar's still here. Okay, well, I've just stopped outside Nikita's. As you can see, that's still there. Nice restaurant right on the edge of the seafront. Lovely views. That's open. It's nice to see. Now, opposite this restaurant there is a small Sai. Not quite sure of the name of the Sai, I'll be perfectly honest. We have a few businesses along here that are not open. The pharmacy lady is just coming and opening up. Let's just check what time it is. It's 12 o'clock. So it's 12 o'clock now, lunchtime. The brasserie, that's no longer here. That looks like it's gone. There's a little coffee shop on the corner, that's open. And then we have the Thai Palace. Or should I say the Thai Palace Resort. That looks like it's open. And there's a French brasserie, is it? French bakery. Okay, so there's also a French bakery here. That looks like it's open. And then next door to that, they've closed off. Well, one unit is empty and closed. I'm not sure, it might be all the same one there. I'm not quite sure what they're doing there. Not quite sure. That might be all the bakery inside tables, could be, and then a small unit here that's gone. And then we have a few bars and restaurants down here further down. They look like they're all still here. I can also see a motorbike rental place down the bottom there. Clearly see the motorbikes outside, so that's still here. Well, I'm sure you're going to agree that it seems that this area is faring a lot better than the area we looked at, Panwa. So let's move along a bit more now. We're going to go to where the pier is and have a walk around that area there. Again, I'm presuming there's still going to be a lot more businesses there. So let's now take a look at that area. Well, as you can see, I've now moved up to the pier, which is just behind me, and we're going to have a little stroll around this area and see what there is here. So to my left there is the soy that the fish markets take place morning, afternoon. Not quite sure of the times. It's early in the morning and late in the afternoon when the fishermen bring the catch in. So if you're looking for fresh fish, that is the place to go down there. You're going to be able to buy some lovely fresh fish. There's even restaurants that will cook it for you as well. Okay, let's go for a quick wander down this soy. I'm not going to go all the way down it. I'm just going to go a little ways. Some of the shops here are closed, mainly because of the time of the day. Some of these will open up later on. They're small little restaurants, etc. There's not quite sure what that is there. The Lion's Cup. It must be a cafe. Phuket Coffee, so it's a coffee shop. And then we have clothing shop, women's clothing. And then moving further down, this is where you start to enter into all the restaurants. As I mentioned, a lot of seafood restaurants in this area. You can both buy the seafood here, and of course you can come out and dine here and eat seafood till your heart's content. Pearl shop there, selling all different pearls. Already you can see there's a lot more activity here. more souvenir shops up there that are open. I can see the markets open for the fish at the bottom. Now I'm not going to walk all the way to the bottom, but you can already see there's a lot more activity around this area. So this is the main road that we're currently standing by, which runs from Shillong to Rawai. And then this road carries on all the way through, past the beach, up, round and into Nay Harm. You can also access the Cape of Pomtem along this road as well, just further down this road going that way. You turn left at the traffic lights and that will take you down to the Cape of Pomtem. Another supermarket there open in this area, the Mini Big C. Seashells souvenir shop, that's open. Quite surprised actually that's open, because certainly not many tourists about. And then some bars further down on the other side. Again, they're still there, they're just closed at the moment. We have a motorbike repair shop, and then we have a motorbike hire shop. So already I've seen a couple of motorbike hire shops that are open and have bikes available. So again, this area not going to be an issue if you need to hire a motorbike. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this look at the area known as Rawai, and I'm sure you'll agree there is a little bit more life in this area to the last area we looked at Panwa. There's definitely more shops open, more facilities, so worth considering if you're planning on coming over to the island in the next 12 months. Now, not sure where the next video is going to take us. I've got a few areas in mind, but I haven't decided 100%, so stay tuned for the next one. If you're new to the channel, then my name's Tony. Please consider subscribing, and if you do, thank you in advance. Well, that just leaves me to say thanks for watching, and until next time, you take care, and I'll catch you on the next one.